Well, I was talking on the multinational corporations. Well, note that when you look here, actually, those pictures are usually shown to basically a downside of capitalist system. Companies become dominant, and basically they can dictate the states how to govern their countries, their people. However, multinational corporations, in the way it has emerged, was relatively new thing, which was created by the U.S. Economic system. Previously, you had companies that were operating in other countries, but those companies were basically either organizing trade between the developed world and the developing world, or they were extracting the resources from them, the, uh, the developing countries. For example, famously in Cyprus, you had this. I don't know when it was founded, but CMC, as far as I know, it goes back to the colonial times, the Cyprus Mining Corporation. But starting with 1945, now the companies in the developed countries start to go to the developing world and also to each other and invest in those countries, invest in factories, operate factories actually in those countries. At first, as partners of the local capitalists, but this means actually now Volkswagen, for example, also has a factory in worker. It's also employing the workers in them in Turkey. So the companies in developed world are able to make use of the workforce in full sense, not only to extract the raw materials basically, but just use them in the production, make use of the workers in developing countries. And as a last point, you had dollar as a global currency. Well, sterling or the pound, the British pound, was kind of accepted as a way to pay your debt in the pre-1945 world. Until today, it was to some extent basically accepted. Although the main thing that held the global monetary system together was gold. The fact that all the currencies were actually fixed to gold was the actual thing that was holding the world system together. Now dollar became the dollar in full sense take the place of gold. Dollar is a thing that held the monetary system together, and all monetary systems get oriented to dollar, which means in order to control their monetary system, in order to be able to manage their monetary system, all countries also needed to get dollar reserves. As you might heard in Turkey now, it is discussed how much dollar the central bank has in its reserves. Or in China, for example, it is told that China has hoarded a lot of dollar reserves so that it could be able to fight with monetary manipulations of other countries, or let's say protect its economy. So this need for dollar reserves has emerged with this new economic system. Because dollar is the main thing. The global economy is basically the global monetary system orients itself according to. You should basically want to control the relative value of your currency, and the value of your currency relative to dollar. Not necessarily set it completely, but at least control it to some extent, or manage it. Basically, this supremacy of dollar was created. The way dollar fully takes place of gold, basically, was actually something engineered, not that something occurred automatically. And that engineering was done in a special conference in 1945 or 44, before World War II has ended, in United States, Bretton Woods Hampshire, probably a ski resort, but it was summer, so there was no ski, there were no skiers there. So members of different countries' financial authorities, met there. Keynes, I don't know, Keynes was physically there, but Keynes was pretty much one of the people behind the idea of the Bretton Woods system. And mainly the idea was formed in this way. Um, Instead of, well, the idea was restoring a system which was similar to the gold system uh, before, but in a different way. Because that system created stability and increased the world trade volume, according to many economists. So, return of this system, having a system similar to that, would be useful, according to them, as understandably. So, how do you restore it? You do it in this way. You basically make all countries to fix their money, the value of their money, to the amount of dollars you can buy with their money, which basically means that just as before, central banks were guaranteeing to give you a certain amount of gold for every Turkish lira you bring. Now, central banks around the world will guarantee you to give a certain amount of dollars for every Turkish lira or every national currency you give to them. So you know for sure what is the value of the national currency relative to dollar, because central banks are fixing that value. And United States, on the other hand, their national currency is dollar anyway. So their central bank, which is Fed, will guarantee you to give a certain amount of gold for every $1 you bring. So you have any national currency, for example, $1. In order to get gold in return of it, you should first return this $1 to US dollar, which is what will be done by French central bank, and then go to United States central bank and turn this dollar to gold. So it was a two-tiered gold system. However, it, of course, for any countries except the United States, it creates an enormous demand for dollars. I mean, which means actually you can just print dollars and buy things, from other countries, goods and services with that dollar, and they don't use that dollar to buy anything back from you, but put that, at least to some extent, put the money they got to their reserves. So the United States had this enormous extra buying power, with this reality of the need to accumulate dollar reserves of other countries. Well, what if countries run out of dollar? What will happen if countries won't have enough dollar to convert to their national currency? To create stability, I mean, in that case, countries are able to change the value of their currency to dollar, but people don't want this happen to a lot. So, in order to prevent this, IMF, International Money Fund, was built, and this IMF was built to provide funds to the companies which have just temporary shortage in dollar. I mean, at a certain period of time, you might just be in shortage of dollar, and IMF provides you the funds, and then you might overcome it and overcome this difficulty, start to collect dollar as reserves money again, and pay back your debt to the IMF. So IMF is kind of this institution which is very similar to the central banks actually, which provides the emergency funds to the countries when they need them. So it's kind of like an international banking organization, but also a kind of an organization which organizes international monetary policies. We will see IMF in more detail in coming parts actually. And it's an interesting institution actually. it is accused later by manipulating the economy of the developing world, especially. We will also see where what is the basis of those accusations, also, whether you agree with them or not. So, Bretton Woods system it aims exchange rate stability, and through that it will integrate the international trade. But this also means that you are losing the countries might lose the financial autonomy, while you are losing financial autonomy. In that case, I mean, if you want to fix your money's value to the dollar at a certain rate, basically you need to make sure that your money doesn't flow out of your country. But in order to make sure the interest rate in your country should be fixed so that the inflow of your money into your country and outflow of your money from your country would be the same. If your interest rate is too low, in that case, the investors, the people might go out to the other countries and invest their money there. In that case, if they go to other countries, they need dollars, so there will be increased demand of dollar. So basically, you will, if you want to fix your money to the dollar, you need to sell dollars to those people who want dollar continuously, and in the end, your central bank will run out of the dollar reserves. So you cannot set the interest rate independently anymore. Your interest rate is set by the international conditions. If you want to fix your exchange rate, of course. If you don't want to fix the exchange rate, then that's okay. Also, if you are a relatively closed economy, at least financially, and you don't allow the funds in your country to get out of your country easily, for example, if you tax them or if you restrict the amount that can be brought out of your country by a single person, for example, or single corporation. In that case, I mean, relatively fixing the exchange rate and fixing the interest rate might work. Maybe not in perfect sense, but at least you might fix them at a range. But if you want to fix both interest rate and the exchange rate, and also be open, allow the funds go out and in your country freely, that's not possible, basically. So kind of the world financial system is integrated, become integrated, and the countries have start to lose, at least partially, their financial sovereignty with the new system. The capital controls the controlling flow of money coming back and forth, kind of partially let them protect their financial sovereignty to some extent, at least. And then this was a financial system. Then you had the labor system. Labor was pretty much actually the organization of labor was for it. The United States has taken to the as a model. United States and Roosevelt was very much effective in building a labor organization called ILO within the United Nations, which is called International Labor Organization. Previously, actually, even after World War I, the United States wanted to build that kind of an organization, but at that time it was unsuccessful. And ILO, it's one of its key principles, and this is written, is labor is not a commodity. And it was aiming to increase the labor standards, I mean, both as working standards, but also living standards of the workers, in a peaceful manner, not through revolution, but in a peaceful manner, And it basically encourages collaboration of governments, unions, and employers come sit together and discuss what improvements can be made. Well, basically, it is very much highlighting the US system. I will talk more on this in the next